Trapped in a dating sim, all routes lead to doom. No, that's the wrong one. Trapped in a dating sim, the world of Otome games is tough for mobs. This is a series in the spring 2022 anime season, a series that I'm actually surprisingly enjoying, but we'll get into all that stuff as I get into my first impressions of the series. So if you're interested in this series, definitely stay tuned. Trapped in a dating sim opens up following a guy who is essentially forced to play an Otome game for his sister. She basically blackmails him with this proof that he's going to show to his parents that he's doing something, and so he's forced to have to finish this game. It seems like she wants him to finish it so that she can get the ending screams. She doesn't want to play through the game. I'm assuming she probably played an earlier version of it. Maybe this is a newer version that has extra scenes. So he's forced to actually play the game. So he sits there and plays through this game over and over again. He absolutely hates it. He hates the story. It's overly complicated. He hates all the characters. He plays around and jokes about the different tropes within them. But then he finally finishes it. He finally accomplishes it after several days. And then as he's going to get a drink at the store, he ends up falling down some stairs and unfortunately passing away. Well, cut from here, he's now 10 years old in another world. And he finally realizes his memories of his previous life. It seems like he grew up for 10 years. And then when he was 10 years old, he regained all the memories from his previous life and realizes, holy crap, I've been isekai'd. I'm now in this world, in a new world. It kind of seems familiar to him. Over time, he realizes, yes, he's in the world of the Otome game that he played, the game that he hated so much. But he's not a named character or anything. He's not part of a family that's important to that game. It seems like he is a mob. He is a character within a video game that is insignificant, has no name. And so he decides, look, I'll try to enjoy my life here. I'm not involved with it. It's obviously a really screwed up world. I'm just going to be a mob and enjoy my life as a mob. Well, unfortunately, this being a matriarchy, his father's wife that married him into this decent family to take care of them, she has other plans for Leon, wants to marry him off to another family. Well, in order to prevent this, he decides to essentially use his knowledge of the game to gain riches and thus be able to make his own decisions. Well, unfortunately, the only way that you can really marry in this world, it seems like, is to go to this academy that the whole game is based around. This one academy is where everybody goes to meet people, yes, I guess learn things, but to find their beloved, to find the person that they will marry for the rest of their life. And so he's kind of forced to have to go here, otherwise he's going to have to marry off. Well, now that he's arrived to pretty much the start of the game, he's now at the academy where the game begins, he realizes things are off a little bit. He does recognize all the main characters of this story. You have the female character that's the lead, who's kind of the outsider that has to meet these princes and stuff. He sees all the princes and barons that were all the main love interests of the actual game. But then he notices somebody that's not really recognizable. Somebody that's not from the game. This one girl that is saying all the lines that the main character is supposed to say. So there's a new player within this whole scenario. Obviously, really quickly making you think that either something's outside manipulating the academy itself, even though all the characters and all the pieces are the same, or this new piece might be somebody manipulating it from the inside. But again, yes, technically Leon doesn't want to get involved. He wants to just find a girl in this academy and just be a mob for the rest of his life. But unfortunately, it doesn't seem like things are going to go that way, as he ends up getting involved with this main character girl as she's being bullied. He ends up getting involved with the main villain of the story itself, Angelica. Angelica is like that character that always foils the plan of the main girl trying to get a love interest. And it's really interesting to see how they actually get into her story as well. All leading up to the point where, yes, Leon will eventually have to go against Marie, this girl that was never in the game. And what is her involvement? Who is she? And what is her plans? Which gets me into my thoughts on Trapped in a Dating Sim, the world of Otome games is tough for mobs. I am surprisingly enjoying this show, and I guess I know why, but at the same time, I don't really want to get my expectations up any higher than it is right now. It's kind of one of those things where I enjoyed the middle section of this series. The first episode was blah. Like, the first episode, when I'm watching the show, I'm like, yeah, okay, I went to another world, and I'm getting all the riches, and I'm super overpowered. Didn't really care for it. Similar with the fourth episode. Yes, I'm in this other world, and I have the super overpowered mecha thing, and I'm beating up all these other guys. Just a very blah episode. But there's these two episodes in between that I really liked. I really liked what they were setting up with this particular world. It's kind of similar to something like, All Routes Lead to Doom, which I kind of joked about at the beginning. This idea of somebody being thrown in a Otome game where there's things in the background that's not so good. With My Next Life as a villainous All Routes Lead to Doom, the whole idea there is that she is the villainous character, and she knows that every route, if it's a dead end, will lead to her death. And it's similar to the situation where he knows there's war in this world, and that if he gets involved with certain parties, he's probably gonna get involved with those wars. He just wants a peaceful life, and he feels like the overall story of this world is really stupid and just full of dumb conflict and war and stuff that doesn't make any sense. So he doesn't want to get involved with it, but he's slowly getting pulled into that conflict. He's getting pulled into these situations because he's starting to meet certain characters that he otherwise wouldn't care about. Like I said before, with Angelica, which I think is a really good example of some really interesting writing that's kind of buried in this whole Isekai Otome game. Angelica in the game is seen as this really nasty lady, this baroness that wants this prince for herself. She was obviously engaged to him, and the main girl, Olivia, cares for the prince or whatever and swoons him, and they eventually fall in love. But Angelica's always there to bully her and try to push her away. But then you start getting into her story where she literally gave up her whole life in service to become this prince's wife. Everything was about him. Her whole life, her whole upbringing was him. And so it makes sense why she's a little mad about it. Getting into that kind of stuff is interesting. I do like that aspect of it. And additionally, it's not very hard to follow Leon's perspective and see what he's doing is kind of what you would want to do. When you see everybody's looking down upon Angelica, you see that Angelica's lost everything. You see what's being done to Olivia, and you see the manipulation that Murray's doing. You're like, yeah, get him, Leon. Like, yeah, you do have that feeling like, yes, I want this to happen. Additionally, while I have my speculations on what they're doing with Marie, I am interested to see how it plays out. I will admit, this writer, or maybe it's just the adaptation, honestly, this writer's not very good at reveals. Let's just make that perfectly clear. This writer is not very good at reveals, because I had a lot of speculations about what Marie was. And I'm thinking, man, I can't wait to the reveal. Like, I have my speculations on who this character is. And then suddenly it scene changes and it's got her inner dialogue playing and she's talking about everything. And I'm like, okay, I guess that was the big reveal, was just some random inner thoughts from this girl that we've never heard before. It was like, what a letdown. Like, that could have been such a good reveal. But instead, they just jump right into her head and have her reveal everything. And it's like, and there's still some things that I'm speculating on, and I'm kind of interested to see how that kind of turns around. Maybe I'll put it at the end of this video. But yeah, that was a letdown. That was extreme letdown. But like I said, I'm enjoying the show. And I cannot wait to see what they end up doing with it. It's very much so a different take on Isekai. It's a very different take on something like, My Life as a Villainess. It's a different perspective. Obviously, it's a male character perspective. But it's playing with these characters in a way that's very interesting. It's an isekai into another world that is, yes, an Otome game with all these pretty boys, but it's really from the perspective of somebody that's not really involved. Somebody that's really throwing a wrench in the whole system that is this Otome game, if it's an actual game. It's the game brought to life. And I'm curious to see what they end up doing with the world itself, because as it seems like from Leon's perspective, it's an overly complicated mess of a world that has way too much going into it that they are technically trying to reveal as being serious. Like when he first goes to get some riches early on in the show, he goes to this one ship and it starts talking about the history of the world itself. It talks about the old humans and the new humans. The old humans were people that had no power, and at some point humans started being birthed that had new power, which was magic. And they basically pushed out the old humans. And it's kind of giving this hint of this idea of an old technology, an old human race that was essentially scuffed out by the new magic-bearing race. And I'm curious if that will play into the overall story. Will it be an aspect of that technically being our world versus the new world? Like I said, it seems like it was having so much fun making fun of the absurdity of the world of this dating sim game, but now it's trying to make it into, yes, he has to live there now, so he has to take it seriously, but trying to make it make sense to him and actually be logical and be something that he has to deal with. But at any rate, like I said, I am enjoying it, despite the fact that I thought the first episode and the fourth episode were just kind of blah. It is doing some very interesting things, and I'm looking forward to seeing what it ends up doing in the future. I know there's a lot of controversy around the visuals of this show. I'm not too bothered by it. I know it's very different than the light novel, and I actually do technically prefer the light novel's art, but, sometimes things like that get shifted, so I don't think it's too bad. but at the same time, yes, I do agree the old artwork is good, but that's just similar to a lot of stuff, like Citrus and stuff. I knew that they were never going to adapt it that way, and I was a little disappointed, but it is what it is, unfortunately. But at any rate, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, make sure to hit that like button down below. It definitely helps us out. Also, leave a comment. Let me know what you thought of this series if you're going to be checking it out. Definitely, if you have not already, make sure to hit that subscribe button so you can get all of my videos. I do first impressions of all the shows of the season, as well as doing episode-by-episode impressions of certain shows and doing reviews, news, topic videos, top lists. If it's anime, it's pretty much here. Additionally, if you want to support us more, we have a Patreon link and a tips link in the description below. We definitely appreciate everybody that supports us. And y'all take care. Oh, also, slight spoilers. This is my prediction. You've been warned. Marie is probably Leon's sister. I'm totally calling it. It's gonna be his sister. Because like I said, I know that she knows about the game because she's been playing it, and so that's why she had him play the new version of it, so she didn't have to play through it again. So she does know all the dialogue, but she hasn't played it in so long she messes up the dialogue. But yeah, I'm kind of hoping for that reveal that, yeah, by the way, they know each other. They know they're really... They obviously will at some point have to have something that indicates, oh wait, are you my sister? Or wait, are you my brother? But that'll be a lot of fun. But yeah, take care.